When Daniel decided to rent out the spare room in his small house, it wasn't because he wanted company. It was because Bills didn't care about grief. Since his wife's passing 2 years earlier, money had been tight, and raising his 8-year-old son alone left little room for mistakes. The house was quiet most nights, too quiet, and the extra income felt like the safest solution. That's how Emily entered his life. She arrived one rainy afternoon with a single suitcase and a nervous smile. College backpack slung over one shoulder, hair pulled back neatly. She looked younger than Daniel expected. Polite, soft-spoken, the kind of girl who said thank you too often. "I'll stay out of your way," she promised as Daniel showed her the small furnished room at the end of the hallway. "I'm mostly on campus anyway." Daniel nodded, setting clear rules. No parties, rent on time, respect the house. Emily agreed quickly, almost relieved. She paid the first month in cash, counted carefully, hands slightly shaking. Daniel noticed but didn't ask. Everyone had a story. At first everything seemed normal. Emily left early in the mornings and returned late, always quiet. She cooked simple meals, washed her dishes immediately, and barely made a sound. Daniel appreciated that. His son Noah was curious about her at first, asking endless questions. But Emily was gentle with him, helping with homework once, fixing a broken toy without being asked. Yet small things began to feel off. Emily often came home exhausted, far beyond what college classes should cause. Some nights Daniel heard her coughing in her room, deep and painful, as if she were trying to hold something back. Once, while passing the bathroom, he noticed a faint trace of blood in the sink. When he asked if she was okay, she smiled quickly. "Just stress," she said, midterms. Another time, Daniel found a stack of medical letters in the trash, hospital logos clearly visible. He froze, staring at them longer than he should have before reminding himself that it wasn't his business. He was just the landlord, but one evening changed everything. Daniel came home early and found Emily sitting at the kitchen table staring at her phone, tears silently falling onto the screen. She didn't hear him enter. Her sleeve had slipped down, revealing a hospital wristband she had forgotten to remove. Their eyes met. For a second, panic flashed across her face. Raw, unfiltered fear. She quickly pulled her sleeve back up, standing as if to apologize for something she hadn't done. "I can explain," she whispered. Daniel didn't know what the secret was yet, but he knew in that moment that renting out a room had just changed all of their lives. Emily's hands trembled as she sat back down at the kitchen table. Daniel didn't rush her. He pulled out a chair across from her, his voice calm, steady, the same tone he used with his son when the world felt too heavy. "You don't owe me anything," he said gently. "But if something's wrong in my house, I need to know." She nodded, tears spilling freely now. For a long moment she just breathed, as if gathering the courage to say the words out loud. "I'm not just a college student," she began. I am. But I'm also sick." Daniel felt his chest tighten. Emily explained in fragments at first. Missed classes, unexplained exhaustion, hospital visits she tried to schedule between lectures. Then the pieces came together. She had been diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disease the year before. Treatment was expensive. Her parents had disowned her after she refused to drop out of school and return home to be taken care of. Scholarships covered tuition, but housing near campus was impossible on what she had left. "So I found a room I could afford," she said quietly, "and I tried not to be a burden." Daniel thought of the blood in the sink, the coughing, the medical letters. "Why not tell me sooner?" he asked. Emily's voice broke. "Because people leave when they find out, or they look at me like I'm already gone." Silence filled the kitchen. In the other room, Noah's laughter drifted from the TV, unaware of the weight pressing down on the adults in his world. Daniel stood and poured her a glass of water. "You're not a burden," he said firmly, "and you're not alone here." She stared at him, disbelief written across her face. That night, Daniel sat awake long after Noah fell asleep. He replayed every moment, every rule he'd set, every distance he'd kept. He had rented a room to solve a money problem. Instead, he'd opened his home to someone fighting for her future with everything she had. The next morning, Daniel surprised Emily with a small notebook and a handwritten list. Local clinics, community programs, a support group his late wife had once volunteered with. "I don't know how to fix this," he admitted, "but I know how to stand with someone." Emily pressed the notebook to her chest, crying openly now. "Thank you," she whispered, "for not sending me away." Daniel shook his head. This house has had enough loss. And for the first time since she arrived, Emily slept that night without locking her door. Over the following weeks, the house changed in small but meaningful ways. Mornings became quieter, gentler. Daniel adjusted his schedule so he could drive Emily to her early hospital appointments before heading to work. He never made a big deal out of it, just grabbed his keys and said, "Let's go." As if it had always been this way. Emily tried to protest at first. "I don't want to take advantage." "You're not," Daniel interrupted kindly. "You're living here, that's what living together looks like." Noah, sensing something serious but not fully understanding it, became Emily's shadow. He brought her drawings when she felt weak, sat beside her while she rested on the couch, and once announced proudly at school that Emily was their college genius. She laughed harder at that than she had in weeks. The bad days still came. Some mornings Emily couldn't get out of bed. Her hands would shake, her skin pale, pain etched across her face. Daniel learned the signs quickly. When to give space, when to insist on rest, when to call the clinic. He remembered doing the same for his wife years earlier. The ache of loss still present but no longer paralyzing. One evening an envelope arrived addressed to Emily. She opened it slowly, hands trembling. Inside was a letter from her university. "I didn't get in trouble," she said softly, then reread the words. "They approved my medical accommodation, full flexibility, and a small grant." She looked up at Daniel, eyes shining. "I can finish my degree." Daniel smiled, feeling something warm settle in his chest. "I never doubted it." Months passed. Emily grew stronger. Some days only a little, others enough to help Noah with science projects or cook dinner while Daniel rested. The house filled with laughter again, the kind Daniel thought he'd lost forever. One night, as rain tapped gently against the windows, Emily stood in the hallway, nervous. "I need to say something," she said. "Whatever happens after graduation, this saved me, you saved me." Daniel shook his head. "You stayed, you fought, that was all you." She smiled through tears. "Still, you gave me a home when I had nowhere else." Daniel looked around the house. The scuffed floors, the mismatched furniture, the warmth that had returned. "Funny," he said quietly. "I thought I was renting out a room." Emily laughed softly, but they both knew the truth. What had started as necessity had become something deeper, not charity, not obligation, family, chosen, imperfect, and strong enough to carry each other forward.